Nick, Alex, and I worked on a marketing plan for the next step. But before I discuss what this company is all about, I want to start by going over the customer problem that we are addressing. If there's one thing we can all agree on, it's that losing a loved one is something nobody should have to go through. Nobody should have to feel that pain, where everything you see, everything you hear, and everything you feel is shrouded by a toxic cloud of death. It's overwhelming, but that's okay. It's not easy to bear such heavy grief, and it takes time to regain the strength to stand up and keep going. Everyone handles it differently. Some people need time alone, while others need the comfort of family. Some people wash it away with alcohol or tears, while others reflect in silence. We all have our methods. Some are more effective than others, but the one common ingredient we all share is a need for time. And sometimes life doesn't have much of that to offer. The problem isn't that losing a loved one is hard. Nobody can help that. The problem is when somebody loses a loved one and then finds themselves responsible for handling the post-death process. This includes funeral arrangements, the settling of estates, closing out their accounts, and many other things that would take a while to list. Most people are aware that the post-death process is a thing, but too few actually understand how much of a burden it is until it's too late and they're in the middle of it. It really isn't easy to maintain your daily life when you're grieving and having to contact so many different agencies to report your loved one's death over and over. The process needs to be simpler, to allow those who are suffering from a loss to spend more time grieving and healing with their families, instead of worrying about the post-death process. This is where we come in. The next step is a company that aims to eliminate the burden of the post-death process by consolidating it online into one easy-to-access place. We want to be the middleman between those suffering from a loss and all the different agencies they need to contact. In order to do this, we'll be reaching out to those who have just lost a loved one and who are overwhelmed or confused about the process. However, our end goal is to transform the post-death process so that older people can eventually set up everything with us before they pass, so that their loved ones don't have to do anything but make a few clicks and everything will be taken care of. Currently, there is no company like this in the post-death industry, but there needs to be. Every other aspect of our lives seems to be moving online, and as people are becoming more technologically fluent, we can expect that trend to continue, especially when there's still large industries that can greatly benefit from that transition, just like this one. Our final positioning statement, which I'll get to in a minute, came from the core of our concept. It's the why of our company, and it will be the fire that fuels all of our marketing efforts. We learned from researching the industry that the post-death process is highly segmented, with each part holding its own section of the industry. For instance, funeral homes are completely separate from the legal aspects of the process, and the same goes for the financial side. On top of that, the people undergoing the post-death process are expected to individually report to all the other necessary parties. So what we did is take note of the large gap that exists between all of them, which to us seemed like the perfect position to start a company. So our positioning statement is, for those who are burdened by the logistics of the post-death process, the next step is the only brand among all post-death services that truly relieves the stress and burden of post-death affairs, because we consolidate most of the process into one easy-to-access place online, which provides a smooth and simple medium for the affected to communicate with all the necessary parties, so that they can save their precious time and spend more of it healing with their families. For our competitive assessment, we did something a little different. Instead of using direct competitors, we used categories of business types. Category 1 is funeral homes. In 2016, according to IBIS, they raked in a little over $14 billion in revenues. The funeral industry itself does not have much competition besides a growing trend in e-commerce, where people are preferring to buy cheaper cremation urns online. However, this threat is minimal because their local presence will always continue to pull in sales. Their target market is the same as ours. They want to reach out to people who have just lost a loved one and to those who wish to prepare for their own death. Their competitive advantage is that funeral services are a staple in the post-death industry, and that they are deeply ingrained in the public consciousness. They also have expertise on burial rites and the licenses which are needed to practice them, though their disadvantage is that they offer a slimmer breadth of service than we do, and that they are relatively expensive. One could also say that one of their disadvantages is that they have been dominating their industry for so long that they've let their guard down and have stopped seeking ways to innovate. Their marketing efforts vary depending on their region. Around here, they are typically oriented around word-of-mouth marketing due to their already established reputations, and they also use newspaper ads and mailers. Category 2 is law firms. In 2016, according to IBIS, the amount of revenues generated from their services dealing only with wills, estates, and trusts was about $12 million. And much like funeral homes, law firms dominate their market. Law firms typically target people who are preparing for the day they pass to help draft wills and trusts. They also target people who are needing help with other post-death legalities like probate court or the handlings of estate. Their main competitive advantage is that their specialized legal knowledge and expertise, as well as their established presence. However, they typically only offer services they specialize in, which is far more limited than what we offer, and for a much higher price. Their marketing efforts are typically word-of-mouth reputation efforts, as well as referral agreements with funeral homes. They may also engage in SEO and inbound marketing, as well as commercials, mailers, or flyers. Category 3 is financial advising firms. In 2016, according to IBIS, financial advising firms generated about $9 billion in revenues directly associated with life insurance. They also have complete control over their market. Typically, they target people who want their assets generating funds after they die and people who want life insurance. Their competitive advantage is that they have expertise in the stock market and their ability to handle assets. They also have a lot of credibility. However, their services are extremely limited compared to what we offer. Their marketing efforts generally include SEO and inbound marketing, word of mouth, and referral agreements. Though, it's important to note that the next step will likely not directly compete with any of these competitors, but instead work with them through partnerships. However, our competitive differences do highlight our room to grow in the market. For the first few years of operations, our primary target market will be the people who have just recently lost a loved one and are facing the post-death process. In Kansas alone, there was 25,731 deaths according to the Kansas Statistical Abstract. According to our financial model, this equates to about $10 million in revenue potential. These people either need or could use help getting through the post-death process. We can help take care of it for them so they can spend more time healing and getting their lives back together. Typically, these people discover new brands through word of mouth, watching TV, referrals, browsing the internet, or social media. Our secondary market is people over 65 years of age who are wanting to prepare for the day when they eventually pass. According to the Kansas Statistical Abstract, there are about 174,766 people over the age of 65 in Douglas, Shawnee, Johnson, and Sedgwick counties. This equates to about $185 million in revenue potential. These people are having to think about what they will leave behind when they pass, and it can result in a lot of pressure, which can lead to avoidance or denial. We can help them get everything planned with all the necessary agencies so that when they pass, their loved ones can grieve freely and they can rest in peace. Older people generally learn of new brands through word of mouth, referrals, TV commercials, magazine and newspaper ads, flyers, and mailers. Our main marketing objective is to build brand awareness in people facing the post-death process in the United States, as well as those who are preparing for when they, or perhaps their loved one, pass. Brand awareness is most important to us because we are offering a new solution to a problem that has never been completely solved before. We want people to know that solution is out there for them if they want it. We also want people to know that they can trust us to shoulder their burdens when they need it most, because the people who experience phenomenal customer service in the post-death industry are much more likely to recommend us to someone they know. In order to accomplish this objective, we will launch a social media campaign geared towards our target market. We will measure the effectiveness of our ads by measuring the amount of impressions, the amount of shares and likes, and the click-through rate. We have budgeted for $5,000 to be spent on this campaign in year 1 and $6,000 in year 2. We will also implement referrals from key partnerships and utilize a direct sales force. Another one of our marketing objectives is to capture 1% of the post-death market in year 1, which is essentially 1% of deaths. From there, we hope to increase our market share by 1 to 3% each preceding year. This is important to us because the quicker we gain a sizable market share, the quicker we will be able to grow and help more of the people who truly need it. Another reason this is important to us is because it can help establish barriers of entry for other services looking to cash in on the market. To do this, we will form key partnerships with local funeral homes and law firms in order to maximize our customer potential. This is the best move we can make since these two types of businesses are typically the first thing someone think about when considering the post-death process. We will measure the effectiveness of this strategy mostly through the number of referral codes we receive from customers and survey results on the website. Lastly, we want to reach 5,000 website visits in year 1 and continue to double that amount each preceding year of operations.
On top of that, we would like to have a 2.5 conversion rate. This is important to us not only because it leads to revenue, but also because it provides insight into our impacts of our marketing efforts and allows us to pivot and improve in the future. To do this, we would launch an ad campaign and an inbound marketing campaign. We would measure its effectiveness by noting web analytics such as impressions and CTR from the ad campaign, and best keywords and whatnot from the inbound marketing campaign. For the ad campaign, we budgeted for $6,000 in year 1 and $7,000 in year 2. For the inbound marketing campaign, we budgeted for $3,000 in year 1 and $2,400 in year 2. Overall, our total marketing budget for year 1 comes to $16,650, which is 31.34% of our total revenues. Overall, we have a serious opportunity here. How we market ourselves is likely the single most important factor in whether or not we succeed. We understand that it will be challenging, but hopefully it will be worth the effort in the end.
Well, that's all, folks. Thank you for listening, if you did.